People, are they in a waiting room or?
You are now live.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll give it a minute or two, and then sometimes people join as it's going. Sometimes people will join at the start.
Okay.
So yeah, regardless,
All right.
this will go out as a recording. So if they don't show up live, they can still the link that I sent them to the live stream will still appear as a it'll just appear as a video if they click on it after the live stream is over. So
Okay. So I go through it anyway, even if
yep,
nobody shows up.
yep. Yeah, if nobody's here live, then still go through it because they might click on it later.
Okay.
Um, and I'll be here listening to every word.
Okay.
So I'd say maybe give it another 30 seconds, let people flow in, and then you can kind of just get started.
Okay. So I'll just be on autopilot.
Yes, sir.
All
And
right.
if you have any questions, I'll be here.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course. And thanks again to you for filling in for Will today.
Oh, well,
It is much.
he does it for everybody else. So,
That's very true. Um, Yeah, I'd say you're probably good to get started. People
okay.
join, great.
All right.
I will be in the background.
Hi, this is Joe Fulvio of Camaplan. I'm here to substitute for our Will Mucker, who's off on another assignment, giving another presentation somewhere else. And today we're going to go over the basics of self-directed investing. Um, as I understand it, and since I'm subbing and unfamiliar with this, any comments or questions that you have can be put in chat, and my producer assures me that I'll see them and that we'll be able to interrupt the discussion to answer them. And I encourage you to do that rather than me just give a long stem winder of a presentation. I'd prefer it to be a conversation. Generally, on these, there are very few people. And so we can give you one-on-one attention and try to answer all the questions that you have. So anyway, let's get started on understanding the basics of self-directed IRAs and 401ks. First, we have to little disclaimer. We're a neutral third party, and we record the investment activities of our clients to satisfy IRS regulations, but we can't recommend or promote anything. So the views expressed by speakers, including myself, are those of the speaker and may not reflect those of CAMA, its members, or employees. CAMA does not guarantee accuracy of information provided by anyone. Professional advisors should be consulted before implementing any options presented, and I can't stress that enough. CAMA absolutely does not endorse or recommend any individual organization, speakers, investments. Its members and employees do not accept liability for losses or damage arising from errors or omissions within, reliance upon, or any use of the information provided by speakers. This is self-directed investing. So individuals are strongly encouraged by CAMA to conduct their own due diligence before making any investment choices. We do not act nor offer services of an investment advisor, CPA, realtor, attorney, guru, tax, legal, accounting, investment, or other similar expertise. Assistance is required. The services of a competent professional should be sought. So this would include your accountants, your tax preparation specialists, financial advisors, certified financial planners, those sorts of folks. All right, let's get started. Today we're going to try to understand the basics of self-directed investing, the types of investments that you can do, how it all works, from start to finish, some of the tax considerations, and we have a lot of resources. So it might start for you with this basic presentation, but there is a deep library of webinars, podcasts, and I'll reference that later. We have a great podcast series called The Road to Financial Freedom, and we encourage you to subscribe to it and listen to it so that no matter where you are in your investing life, you can get some great information there. Okay, let's talk about what self-directed investing really is. Self-directed IRAs are IRAs in which you direct all investments in the account. Now, you might have an IRA at Schwab or Fidelity, and you do direct the activities of that account. You select the stocks and bonds and mutual funds, and you're making decisions there. This is a little bit more hands-on, and it involves assets beyond the listed securities and funds that you typically find in a brokerage account. So there's no legal distinction between a self-directed IRA or any other IRA, except with truly self-directed. You get a real wide spectrum of investment opportunities that you can choose to invest in. It's a great opportunity if you're in real estate, you're in finance, you like building and operating and running small companies, to invest in things that are close to home for you. This is one of the biggest attractions that our investors find, is that they can take a lifetime's worth of knowledge, or a half a career's worth of knowledge, and put it to work directly in something that they can understand and see and touch and feel. Sometimes stock investing might look like a pig in a poke, because you do your homework, you study the fundamentals, and you place your bet, and sometimes things are opaque or hard to figure out. So there are a number of accounts that are considered self-directed or can be self-directed, and they fall into two basic categories. One is the tax deferred, which means that you get a tax break for putting money into them. Each year, a lot of people put money into their IRAs and they get a little bit of a tax break. However, the earnings are taxed on the way out. So after you retire, the idea was that you would be in a lower tax bracket, and you would be taking money out of your IRA to fund your retirement, and your tax rate would be lower. The other type of account is a tax-free account, and the most well-known of these is the Roth IRA. And here you don't get a tax break. In fact, you get taxed on putting money into these accounts on the front end, but you are not taxed on the earnings or any of the amounts in those accounts when you start to spend them after you retire. And this is really good. And the founder of the company, Carl Fisher, likens it to paying for the seeds or paying for the crop. In the Roth example, you're paying for the seeds and you get to keep the crop. Whereas in the tax deferred, you get a little break on the seeds, but you got to share your crop with the government. So those are the two main categories. There are some other types of accounts, 401k versus self-directed IRA, which we'll get into a little bit of that here. If you'd like more information on the 401k, we can set up a session for you. You can own, if you are in business for yourself, you can have a 401k. The solo 401k is for independent entrepreneurs, consultants, and people who are self-employed. And it has a lot of advantages, including the types of investment that you're allowed to engage in, and also the amount that you're allowed to put away in those accounts. It's substantially more than the typical contribution limits for a self-directed IRA. This is kind of how we demonstrate the advantages of doing this type of investing. Let's say you get paid $100,000 this year, and you take it all in salaries or W-2 or 1099. You're either employed by someone receiving a wage, or you're an independent contractor getting paid on a 1099 basis. And so once you deduct out the federal, state, local, Social Security, Medicare, once you back out all the stuff that gets taken out of your account, you're basically left with $60,000, or 60% of the income that you were paid. Comparing that to passive stuff, like if you had royalties, or you had interests in oil and gas, or intellectual property rights, and you were receiving passive income from them, the tax rate that would apply against that would leave you with 3/4 of what you were actually paid. But here's where the difference comes in when you're dealing with self-directed IRAs, is you get to keep all of that money. Now, as I mentioned before, the traditionals, you're taxed at distribution. So you are getting a break going into the account, and you are sharing something with the government when you finally take it out. That tax rate will depend upon your effective tax rate at the time you begin to take distributions. The Roth, by comparison, you're not taxed on any of it. So once it goes in there, that $100,000 goes in there, you get that and all of the earnings without any tax. So we're big proponents and big promoters of the Roth here. Again, another way of looking at the comparison, starting with, say, a $50,000 pool of money, and what that would look like if it were taxable income versus tax deferred versus tax-free over a 10, 20, 30, and 40-year period. As you can see, the tax-free option is the best way to accumulate wealth. And again, there's tremendous resources at the website and in the webinars and in the podcasts dealing with the Roth. All right, let's talk about what you can invest in. The actual list of investments that you can get involved with is far greater than the ones that you're not allowed to. But let's talk about a few of them. The ones that we see the most are real estate, private lending, which is notes and mortgages, private placements, which are investments in small businesses and other forms of enterprise, including real estate, and precious metals. That would be direct ownership of gold, silver, platinum, palladium. And there are all sorts of investments that are unusual that people do for IRAs. Everything from growing coffee in Colombia to buying Christmas tree futures, or buying a Christmas tree lot in April that's going to be delivered in November. There are all sorts of businesses, and you can use your imagination. Again, the idea is to tap the knowledge that you have to shape your investments and stay close to home. Within the real estate category, we have people investing in single family and multi-unit homes, apartment buildings, individual duplexes, condos, commercial property for retail and office space. There's improved and unimproved land. We have a major player that develops land and has investors who ride with him during that process, and then he sells that land to the people who actually build single family homes and communities. There's leveraged and unleveraged property, and then foreign property investments, which are entirely allowed. So you could invest in a vacation rental in Costa Rica, or invest in commercial development in Singapore if you wanted to. All those options are open. The next is private lending. This would include mortgages, promissory notes, which is basically an agreement between a borrower and a lender on the terms of a loan. Trust deeds, leases. There's convertible notes and discounted notes. Convertible notes, of course, would convert into equity. And then there's secured and unsecured notes. The secured notes are secured by some form of collateral. Usually that involves real estate. And usually when it's real estate, that involves a direct lien upon the property that the loan is being advanced for. There's also unsecured lending. We see people loan to small businesses, loan to some family members, and that's on an unsecured basis. There is no collateralization of those types of loans. The next group would include businesses, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Limited liability corporations and limited partnerships. There's trusts, stock in C corporations, joint ventures, structured settlements, which are insurance contracts, the investment clubs and hedge funds. The idea here is that a lot of the investing that takes place in the self-directed arena goes into building small businesses or growth companies. And, that's the great engine of jobs. It's a great way to participate in the most exciting part, at least for me, the most exciting part of the economy, which is new business development and new ideas and new technologies and new products. And if that's what you like to do, this is the place to do it. At this level, you can get that started with your self-directed IRA. Well, one thing I will go back to real estate and say there are a lot of people that would love to invest in real estate, but don't know they can use their IRA and 401k. And we'll talk a bit about how to fund the deals that you're going to do, but it's a great way to jumpstart your investing in real estate. If you've got a pool of money sitting at Schwab or Fidelity and it's not doing anything, or you've just left a position and you have 401k money and you want to get into real estate, the self-directed IRAs and 401ks are a great place to jumpstart and get yourself involved. Precious metals. This is basically everything except collectibles and numismatics. So this is direct ownership of physical gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. The difference here, instead of buying ETFs or buying shares of mutual funds that hold precious metals, is your IRA actually holds physical gold and silver. And how do they do that? Well, it's got to be at a depository. You can't keep it under your bed, but it does allow you to hedge all the things that might go wrong in an economy with the asset that's held the most value and has served over and over again throughout history as a hedge against chaos and market downturns. Some stuff you can't do. You can't own art or anything collectible, basically. Gems, stamps, and coins, no booze. The exceptions are the not only U.S. government minted gold, but also Canadian maple leafs and Chinese pandas and anything that's established as a commodity type of precious metal investment. There are some interesting workarounds in this area. There are a lot of online exchanges that you can own fractional shares of a company that invests in works of art or rugs or antiques. It's an arm's length transaction, and you really need to check with your advisor before you get involved with anything like that. But there are ways of going, and investing directly in those kinds of assets. I'm sorry, indirectly in those kinds of assets. And again, if anybody has question or comment, or if something I'm saying doesn't make sense, definitely, raise your hand, stick something in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer it. There are some prohibited transactions, and that means between certain types of people that you're not allowed to engage in business activity using your IRA or 401k with them. And the primary reason this is that they don't want to see any self-dealing. You can't invest in a company that you own to the extent that you own it more than 50% or you control it. There's a couple of reasons. They don't want you funding your business with your IRA, and they don't want people losing what they've saved for retirement in various schemes that they might cook up that they're not really sophisticated enough to handle. So let me look. I think we have the chart on the next. Here it is here. Okay. Certain people you can do business with out of your IRA, certain people you can't. So all the green boxes are okay. So if you're the account holder, you can say invest in a brother or sister's business. You could lend money to them. You could lend money to aunts and uncles and cousins. You just can't loan to anyone who's in a direct line of descendant or ascendants from you. So that means no kids, no grandchildren, no children's spouses or grandchildren's spouses. We've had a lot of this. I've used my own account to. My brother and his sons are all have contracting businesses and specialized contracting businesses, and I've loaned to them so that they could acquire equipment for those businesses, and they paid me back, and they paid me back with interest, and the businesses are better off for it. So that would be an example of something you could do with a family member. There are some limitations on the amount of ownership or control you'll have over organizations that you invest in. Just you can't invest in your own business. You can't invest in a business that you own 50% of or more, or that you control somehow. Let's say there's a zillion shares and you have 5% of them, so you control the whole thing. You can't do that. But again, we recommend consulting, your tax specialist, your accountant, before you do anything like this. But it is available. Okay, it's a lot simpler than even this. Actually, there's really three steps to this whole process. One is you're going to open your account, then you're going to fund your account, and then you're going to make an investment and operate that investment inside of your IRA. It's a pretty easy process. We have it all online. You just create a login for your account. You give us some information about yourself. You can arrange during that same process to have funds move from another institution over to your new account. And when those funds arrive, then we'll help you and guide you through the process of placing your investment. That's making sure that all documents associated with your loan or your purchase of private equity, are accurate and in accordance with IRS regulations. And so, at the end of it, once the biggest time commitment is on the front end, is just creating the account and getting things funded. And once the funds are in, doing your homework and doing your due diligence, getting all the information you can on the investments that you want to do, and consulting with your advisors, and then making that purchase. Once that happens, you're generally in for a period of time. Some investments will pay off, and over the long haul, you'll be in for 5 years or 7 years. Others will begin to pay you income immediately, such as loans. And but once it's set up, it's pretty much you just make sure you're getting paid. All right, what do we do? Well, as I said at the beginning, we're kind of we record the investment activity of our IRS or IRA account holders. And that means that we document everything, and we provide some documentation to the IRS. We provide other documentation to you. So we're a neutral third party. Again, we don't provide any, we don't provide any information or any endorsements, and we don't provide any advice in this area. We certainly will give you advice on how to set up IRAs and how to operate investments in there. But again, we're not authorized to provide any consulting or any financial planning of the sort that you would get from a certified financial planner or your tax specialist or your accountant. So, but we are part of the team. We often interact with our clients' professionals. They often want to consult us, particularly if they're unfamiliar with self-direction. So, we're here to be part of your team. So if you'd like us to talk to your accountant and your tax specialist or your lawyer, we were happy to do that. All right, we get a lot of questions. Since I don't see any so far, I'm just going to go through a couple of the ones that we get the most often. Um, it doesn't take much time to open an account. I'm going to say 15 to 20 minutes, and during that time, you'll arrange to fund the account. And what that means is you'll request a rollover or a transfer of funds from another institution, depending upon the type of account you're opening. And that usually takes about 2 weeks to complete. Some of the larger financial institutions will get that done in several days, but we say give it about 2 weeks. And then, assuming you have an investment that's ready to go, you could certainly sign the documents associated with that investment, submit an asset purchase directive to us, which is your instructions to us on who to send money to, where to send it, and how to send it. And literally within 2 weeks, you can be self-directed investing. You've gone through the process of opening your account, funding it, and you've made your first investment. When you fund it, again, there's a couple of different ways. There's rollovers and transfers, and I won't get into the details there. They're basically based on the type of account you're moving money from and the type of account you're moving money to. And you can also contribute to accounts. There are limitations on the amounts, but the three forms of transfers, rollovers, and contributions. So depending upon the type of asset, let's say you have your account opened, it's funded, and you would again engage in your own due diligence with the people who are offering the investments to you. That's a review of their documentation, conducting background checks if you feel you need to, looking at other similar investments for comparison, and again, consulting with your tax and financial advisors. You'll sign the paperwork when you invest. You're the one that's making the commitment, and then you will instruct us on where to send funds so that you can complete the investment. You can't use your IRA for down payment on property. I won't get into too many of the details there unless you want me to, but you can't do that. Yes, you can take out a loan. Your IRA can take a mortgage. If you want to put $50,000 down on a $500,000 vacation property and you want to borrow the rest, yes, you can do that. There's a difference between owning real estate inside and outside of an IRA. And that second to last bullet down there kind of points at it. It's if you own the property, rental property or a vacation property outside of an IRA, you can kind of do anything you want with it, to it. You can go down there and stay for 2 weeks out of the year. You can do your own work. You can collect your own rent and do everything yourself. When it's in an IRA, property like this operates like a business. So You have a saying, you can pick out the paint color, but you can't paint the house. So all of the things that are done to that house have to be done through contractors, and your IRA essentially acts as a business. It operates that rental property for you. So you will manage the investment, but you won't manage the property. Um, Capital calls are a little unusual. We get them from time to time. It's a fairly simple process. It's basically making a payment to an investment provider that you are already invested in who is raising more capital for whatever reason. But these are the questions that do come up. Again, if you have any, please submit them. And if you are watching this on replay, don't hesitate to submit them to the addresses provided at the end of this presentation deck, and we will answer them. So there are some tax considerations, and again, without getting into too much detail, I'm going to suggest that you consult your tax prep specialist and financial advisor and accountants, particularly with regard to unrelated business income tax and UDFI, unrelated debt financed income. The definitions are pretty clear. This is something that happens occasionally. We try to vet investments that we get involved with directly for this very issue, so that we're not surprised by being hit with another tax. But it's definitely something you're going to want to jot down and make sure that the things you're looking at do not have issues here. Let's see. We got a lot of. If you like reading IRS publications, this is the place. They're fairly long and involved. I use them as for when I'm not sleeping well. I'll read through this, but this is all available at the website. You can get any of this documentation through us. If you're looking for a particular subject, you can go to the IRS website at irs.gov. They have a search bar. It's really good, and you can learn a lot by just checking with them first on issues that come up. And I think we're at the end of this. And like I said, the guy who is supposed to be sitting here is Will Mucker. He is out on a presentation, but if you have questions, you want to submit them, you can submit them either directly to Will, or as you can see, there's info@Camaplan, and we will definitely answer them. As I said, we publish and produce webinars and podcasts every week. There's a new webinar and a new podcast each week. On the webinars tend to be a little bit more academic, a little bit more classroom oriented, so you get some understanding of an asset class, how the particular sponsor is taking advantage of that asset class, and then how investors are participating in that asset class. The podcast, and again, all of this is at camaplan.com, is called The Road to Financial Freedom, and that's a little bit more of a relaxed conversation with people who are sharing their experiences as investors and as people who took a journey from perhaps not being involved in this type of investing before to building their own investment products. So it's a great place to get and benefit from the experience of other people. So I think that's it. And hopefully my producer is hovering in the background and hasn't gone out to lunch.
I am indeed
There
hovering.
There he is. Okay. So, does anyone have any questions?
If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. We'll give you a minute or two to do so.
Mhm.
If not, like Joe said, you can always reach out to us to the information on the screen. And of course, you can rewatch this in the future by clicking the same link that you got to get to the live stream. It will just become a video after that, so you can watch this to your heart's content if Joe's voice is soothing or calming to you.
Yeah. And call in directly. And some people don't like raising their hands in classes, and I'm like that. I'd rather sit in the back, and then maybe later on I'll pop up and buttonhole the speaker. So if you want to email a question, or you want to just call into the office and say, hey, I'd like to speak to Will or Joe about what I saw on there, please do. We're happy to share what we know.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for everybody for attending. Appreciate it. And again, look forward to seeing you in self-directed investing.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe, so much. At this time, we're going to end the live stream. Like has been said a couple times, if you have any questions, feel free to call in, send us an email, whatever. But Joe, thanks so much for hopping on today.
Welcome. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.